Welcome back to Return to Evolution, where we're going through the legendary tutorials of Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution and seeing how we can apply them to the more recent Virtua Fighter 5 iterations. Today, Chapter 14, dealing with throws and strike attacks. This is broken into 3 sections: using evade and throw escapes or ETEs, using guarding throw escapes or GTEs, and using evading throw escape guards, ETEGs. These 3 techniques really celebrate some of the unique, technical and absolute aspects of the Virtua Fighter fighting game system. Like crouch Tekken and Street Fighter 4, these are skills that once you learn should immediately replace your conventional approaches to how you guard and evade strikes and how you escape throws. Instead of the usual what, why and how format, we'll go through them one by one and explain what's different about each of them as we go. To start, these are all techniques that you're going to want to use after you've been left at a disadvantage, for example, when your attack is blocked. As you may know by now, the core gameplay of Virtua Fighter centres around putting the opponent into situations where they're forced to make a choice, and these techniques allow you to throw at least some of that back at your opponent and tell them to try harder next time. It just so happens that Guard and Counterattack 5 with the dummy puts you into a scenario where you have to choose between several defensive options, so it's perfect for at least getting the timing down for all 3 of these techniques. I'll include a more intermediate drill at the end of the video if you want something a little more realistic. 14A, using evade and throw escapes or ETEs. Recommended rank 5th Dan or above. The ETE is a great defensive response to handle an opponent that's got mids and throws at their disposal. This could be that you've left yourself at a large disadvantage that guarantees a throw, but even if they've just blocked an elbow and you suspect a strike or throw in return, it's a good way to defend and attempt for a counterattack. To perform it, simply input an evade after your attack has been blocked, immediately followed by a throw. Observe your timing here. There's a relatively generous buffer window for the evade and the throw tech. If you're getting hit by the elbow, adjust the timing of the evade. I find most people aren't evading fast enough. And if you're being thrown, the same can usually be said for the throw, but more on that in the next section. The ETE has a few main weaknesses. It can lose to successful half-circular and circular attacks, as well as intentional or accidental delayed attacks, so consider how aggressive your opponent is first. A delayed attack will cause the evade to fail, and you'll be in even more trouble. Also, unlike in Virtua Fighter 4 with its multi-throw escape options, in the Virtua Fighter 5 series you have to commit to a throw direction. The ETE does work with a throw direction, but if you're still getting thrown, then you're probably teching the wrong way. 14B, using guarding throw escapes or GTEs. Recommended rank 5th Dan or above. So a good response if you're finding that your ETEs are getting caught by delayed attacks is to switch to the GTE. The GTE, now often called the LTE or the Utori guard, allows you to cover the attack and throw options just like before, but because there's a guard in place of the evade, it's not susceptible to the half-circulars, circulars and delayed attacks that could previously result in a failed evade. The actual technique here is slightly different in the Virtua Fighter 5 series, where you'll in fact tap guard and then punch while holding it, as opposed to tapping the whole throw break and releasing the punch while holding down the guard, like you do in the Virtua Fighter 4 tutorial. This change in technique also has an added benefit, in that you can continue guarding and, so long as this is held, even throw attempts after several guarded strikes will still be broken, so long as the right throw break is held. Again, on the dummy you should find the window for buffering to be pretty good. In an actual match, these are also good to throw out if you've had a particularly punishable attack guarded that's resulted in them having a guaranteed throw opportunity, like a blocked launch attempt. This is also when circulars would be more likely as they're generally slower attacks, so it covers you for the main weaknesses of the previous ETE. It has its own weaknesses too. It's vulnerable to low attacks, while the ETE could at least evade linear lows, and also guarding is generally worse than evading in terms of generating opportunities for you to fight back. A successful evade can give you a window to counterattack from the side, while a guarded attack can leave you with less frame advantage, no frame advantage, or can even leave you in a side turn state if they hit you hard enough. As a rule of thumb, when picking between the two, use the first technique, the ETE, until the opponent gives you a reason not to. And 14C, using ETEGs or evade and throw escape guards. Recommended rank 10th Dan or above. A little trickier, you can combine the 2 previous techniques to form the Megazord of defensive options, the ETEG. Simply get blocked, buffer your evade, and immediately follow it up with the GTE technique from 14B. This will evade attacks, break throws, and guard against delayed attacks or strings that follow the evaded strike. It also removes the potential for any whiff punishes from the ETE if you fail to react to the evade and let out a wild whiffed throw attempt. Since you're inputting more, it can be a little trickier to pull off against the dummy, and more so in a real match, but covers a lot of what the opponent could throw at you. Also, as with the GTE by itself, if you continue to hold down the last inputs of the ETEG, you can still break throws even if they follow a string of attacks. Like I say, these can all be practiced against Guard and Counterattack 5, but try them in real matches so you can get a feel for when to use them, and so you can reap the added benefits of things like defending against strings. As an intermediate alternative, capture 2 identical recordings of the dummy putting you at frame disadvantage and follow one of the recordings up by mash and throw and the other with a string. You can even add a third with a string then a throw if you really want to see the advantages of the ETEG. If you block the initial string, you can now see how each of your new techniques performs against a string throw mix-up. And that's it for chapter 14. You've learned a defensive technique, the counter plays to that technique, the counter defense to those counter plays, the counter offense to the counter defense, and then the counter defense that covers more of the offense and counter offense. Quite a lot of Yomi layers to cycle through in this one that'll undoubtedly save you from some damage on the battlefield. See you next time for chapter 15.